Joining us now on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law, Nick Osen from 24/7 Sports covers the Wisconsin Badgers beat reporter. Nick, how you doing today, my friend?
Guys, I'm doing great. Been looking forward to this segment, covering a lot of Wisconsin football, and excited to dig into it a little bit further with you guys.
Awesome. Yeah, Nick, really appreciate you jumping on. Are you you're there at camp today? Were you down in Platteville as well, or are you just there in Madison?
Yeah, absolutely, Mason. Yeah, we were out there with live coverage, every single day in Platteville, and I will say it was a blast. Obviously we'll get a little bit more into the football side of things, but I think from just a coaching lens and, just kind of a focus lens, I think it's a really smart thing to kind of get out to a spot where you're not worried about campus and other things, and you're just really locked in on the game of football and your teammates for like 2 straight weeks. I thought it was pretty cool.
That's awesome. I saw some news about the Wisconsin center, Jake Renfro, getting injured and uncertainty for the opener even. What's going on there, and who do you think will replace him if he can't go?
Yeah, Mason, so I will, of course, say that, but I will also say I think it is a positive, not that he got hurt, of course, but the status of that,
Okay.
Because when we first saw it at practice, it was a little bit more worrisome, I would say, than
Really?
week-to-week type of thing. And obviously, from your storied career, when you see big guys go down, that can lend itself to a little more worrisome injuries. So right now it's been Kerry Kadenko at center, first team with Jake Renfro out, and I think he's done a pretty good job. He's like a 5th or 6th year guy, has played a ton of football, can probably be relied upon at every single position, quite honestly, on the O-line. The guys love him, and it sounds like, speaking with Billy Edwards Jr. yesterday, it maybe took a few minutes to adjust, with some of the calls and obviously relationship building, but I think he'll be just fine. I think you probably hope to get Renfro by at least week 2 with a little bit of kind of buffer time before Alabama.
Oh, well, that's good to hear. From camp, who's been standing out for you? On both sides of the ball, like who's kind of been the guys that have showed you something so far in camp?
Yeah, Mason, there have been a lot of players. I think one that maybe isn't a shock if you followed a lot of our content and commentary, but maybe just to this extent, is running back Dylan Jones. I mean,
Nice.
He looks like a true superstar, and I don't use that word lightly. Obviously, at an RBU like Wisconsin, he looks like the next NFL back. I think a name that'll probably be newer to some folks is tight end Lance Mason. Transfer that came in around May, June, so didn't even have spring ball with these guys. And he has fit in seamlessly. It sounds like the mental side and really the culture aspect has been a perfect fit. And obviously he can play, of course. And then I'll give you another name defensively. It'll be interesting to see if he starts, obviously with the question marks around Nidir Forturine's eligibility and kind of that ruling. But Emilio Agard, just a second-year guy. I think he's even technically a redshirt freshman. From the class of 2024. Guys, he's a little bit shorter, like 5'9", 5'10", I'd say, at corner, but just technically speaking, probably has some of the best, foundational, fundamental skills on the team at DB. I think he's really, really impressed, and he's been one of my standouts, I think, 4 out of the 11 practices.
Awesome. We got Nick Osen on the Mason Crosby Show talking Wisconsin Badger football. We might dive into some other things, but we'll be deep into that. And I saw an article that came out as well about some of the, and I know this is Thunder's favorite thing, the power rankings for the Big Ten, and they had Wisconsin at 15. Do you think that's too high or too low? Where do you think that number stands?
Yeah, Mason, that's way too low. Obviously you guys have had me on enough. I am an optimist in terms of approach, but just even outside of that, it's a tough schedule, and they will have to get a marquee win or two to really be able to get back bowling. I understand that, but like you said, I've been at every single practice, most going back to the spring. This is a good football team. It's a better football team than we've seen the last 2 years. The culture's in a really good place. The roster is much better. There's a reason there have been NFL scouts 4, 5, 6 days in a row checking these guys out. Nice. I think by my numbers, there are probably around 5 or 6, at least NFL guys just in this class. So all that to say, Mason, I think the Big Ten is loaded, of course. I mean, you've got, I think, 2 top 3 teams, 5 ranked teams in the top 22. So I understand it's tough, but they're going to surprise some people, whether it's keeping things close on the road at Bama, maybe a win at the Big House, even Illinois, who's getting a lot of playoff buzz, something like that. I'm not saying, they should be number 2 or 3 in the Big Ten, but I think 15 is much too low right now.
I totally agree with that. Just the number that stood out to me was the Badgers ranked last year 102 nationally in passing with 197 yards per game. Like that, and they lost their last 5 games.
Is that not good?
Whenever they were like more, the traditional Wisconsin Badgers team, like how many passing yards, a game were they averaging then? I mean, I got to imagine it was still over 200 yards passing. Like it wasn't like they just didn't pass the ball. So like, do you see a shift back to the old school Badgers way or a hybrid of that? Because Fickell has said that he's going to abandon just the traditional air raid offense and put more of a hybrid system in. Are you seeing that there at camp right now?
Yeah, Mason, I am. As a fan of football, which we all are, I think when this offense is hitting its stride, it's going to make a lot of Wisconsin Badger fans happy, quite honestly. I mean, they're running the ball. They tried to, of course, in this last offense. It just wasn't the best fit, and I think a lot of things went into that. But in this one, whether it's creative run scheme, wide zone, play action, like going deep, I think there's a lot of excitement with just some of the vertical aspects as well. So all that to say, it'll be much better than we've seen of late. I think it is still a growing process, and I'm not saying it's going to be 45 points every single game, but just the balance, the personnel, and then obviously the scheme from Jeff Grimes. I mean, there's a reason that, there's been a lot of excitement since the spring about some of his ideals because it is just a better, more sensical fit for this program.
Nick Osen, 24/7 Sports, joining us here on the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon. And you talked, that the rankings are too low. We know the schedule is going to be tough. What do you say to fans, Nick, who last year were like, Fickell's got to go. The Badgers are terrible. They're not playing Wisconsin football. I'm out. I'm done with this team. This is like we're not even in the preseason 25. But then when you look at like the 25 teams who get votes, the Badgers aren't even getting one vote in any of the polls. Like this is a debacle.
Yeah, what I would say to those those fans is, kind of like what I've said a couple times on this show. They don't really realize kind of the undertaking and overhaul that was needed with this program. It hasn't been perfect the last couple of years, and anybody that is part of it would say that. Like, I promise there's nobody in the program that isn't upset with the way things have gone. But basically, the offense didn't work, but just in terms of recruiting and more size, speed, athleticism, a lot of things needed to be done that I don't think fans knew about. And I don't blame the fans, for not knowing, right? A lot of people aren't kind of into all the intricacies of building a program, but I think these things take time. Sometimes you'll hit kind of luck in a bottle, like you maybe saw at Indiana, good football team, but also a really easy schedule for most of it. But this year, I think you do need to see progress, and frankly, I think you will. I think you'll look to keep some of those marquee games close, continue stacking notable wins in the recruiting department, get back to a bowl, and then I think things really will open up in 2026. But guys, like I am encouraged of what I've seen. I've been very measured with kind of some of the win-loss predictions and things of that nature, but I will put my name on it all, that if the top 3-4 guys can stay healthy, this is a better football team that will surprise some people.
That's awesome. Yeah. So let's see, where do we want to go? Tommy, did you have a question? I'm sorry, I was checking all this different.
I mean,
things.
we got to ask about Billy, right? Billy Edwards Jr. Like, how's he looking right now, Nick? Because the quarterback position obviously has been something that the Badgers have not really figured out in the transfer portal or NIL era.
Yeah, Tommy, he's been good. Honestly, in the last week or so, I'd say he's been really good. We've talked about his leadership for a long time, since January, February. But now actually getting to see what he does, he's a little bit more mobile than people know about. He can make every throw, and his decision-making is good. I think at times, accuracy is still coming along with certain aspects, but I'd be really excited. Like, I can't think of a better one-year fit, if there had to be one from the portal, than a guy like Billy. I've been really happy with what I've seen for this Badgers program. Frankly, I think he's a guy that you wish you could have around 2 years, 3 years. I mean, he has really just taken hold of this team and the offense. And so it's going to be really intriguing. I mean, he didn't have to do too much on Saturday for that open practice. They gave some of the younger guys a lot of reps, but Friday he was lights out. And then I will even add another name, not just to start this year, but just for kind of the future of the program potentially and depth of the room. Danny O'Neal, another transfer, was absolutely lights out yesterday. He hit like 9, completions in a row, showcasing his mobility, his deep ball. Like, I'm excited about this room under Kenny Guyton. I really am.
That's awesome. Before we let you go, I got one last question for you, and I just want to ask, like, in the early, early part of this season, what team, if this Badgers team is going to show us that they're different, which game kind of stands out to you? I mean, you got to think Alabama, or is it, once you get to kind of that Michigan game, if they can go and beat Michigan, which one of those early games kind of says, all right, this Badgers team is different if they could go and sneak out a win against one of those teams?
Yeah, Mason, I think it's probably Michigan or Iowa. I think you look to keep things, of course, very respectable, competitive against a team like Bama, a true title contender at home. But you definitely look to make somewhat of a statement there. Then
should be at least 3-1 in those first 4 games.
100%. Yep. Then it's back home against Maryland, I believe a bye. And then Michigan, Iowa, Ohio State, Oregon. I mean, that's ridiculous. So I think you look to go ideally 2-2 in kind of a mix like that. I do think they can beat Michigan. There are a lot of question marks just in terms of their offense right now for the Wolverines. Iowa's a very winnable game, and I know that game means a ton to this group.
All right. I like that. Well, Nick Osen with 24/7 Sports. You can find him at The Real Nick Osen on X. Really appreciate you jumping on. Enjoy your time there at camp, and we'll have you on again soon.
I look forward to it, guys. Thank you so much. As always, I really appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks so much, Nick.